we've seen what last 4 or 5 seasons, even long. Is it about 5 or 6 seasons now that the VAR has been inside the Premier League? And I think I've only seen on maybe 1 or 2 occasions where the referee has actually overruled the VAR. And I think it's a difficult one because there hasn't been many. And I think that the perception is that within refereeing world, that if the VAR, who's got all of the angles and all of the slow motions, the feeling is, and when I was a referee using VAR, your feeling is when you're going to that screen, you are thinking that I've made a mistake because the VAR has had all of the time in the world to check that decision. So automatically, the referee's mindset when he goes to that screen is that I've made a mistake. So that's the first point. It's not a decision that's questionable. You're automatically going. And my problem is, and I saw this with the Fulham situation a few weeks ago at Chelsea, was the VAR was guiding the referee into his decision by the angles he was showing, the speed of the challenge that he was showing. It was automatically thinking, I'm justifying this decision. And I thought if the referee, and I would love to see this more with referees when they go through the process, and where rugby union is at such a higher level at the moment when it comes to communication with the match officials, the referee and the TMO compared to referee and the VAR, is that when the referee discusses it, he's guiding the conversation, not the VAR. So the referee will say, show me in real time. And that would have been the key moment for Rob Jones to actually say, that's a football action. That's a normal action. Actually, the Chelsea Chalobah's going into the challenge. He's going in to a challenge that he can't win. Therefore, that's a natural reaction, a natural action in a real-time motion. The problem you saw when I watched it and I saw what the VAR was doing, he was using slow motion, which made it look like the Fulham player had actually made a foul. It wasn't the case. And I think what referees need to do is ask the VAR all of the questions and not allow the VAR to dictate the decision. And that's the issue that we've got at the moment. And that's where Howard Webb has to push, because what I believe, and I don't automatically agree with Graham, I don't think we'll see referees overturning VAR decisions. I think it'll be the opposite. I think VAR will be less likely to interfere. So we'll see more probably mistakes, but it won't be the mistake where the VAR's made the mistake. It will be the VAR supporting the referee's initial decision, which is where we want to be. But I think what we've got at the moment with the new generation of Premier League referees, and this is not a criticism, I've been a referee. When I was a Premier League referee, we had a big experience, a lot of experienced referees. So the mistakes were less. What we've got now is a new group of referees who are allowed to make mistakes. They're young. They are going to make mistakes. The problem is the VAR isn't putting the subjective decisions right for them. And that's the issue that we're having at the moment. Once the young referees become better, I prefer referees making the decisions. What you see in international football, if you watch Champions League compared to the Premier League, the Champions League referees are brilliant at making the decisions because they are the best in Europe. They are experienced and they are making the decision. So VAR is less likely to interfere. The Premier League's the opposite. We've got young referees making mistakes, not getting put right.
Graham, we've obviously had issues already this season with VAR. For anyone who's unaware, do you want to remind us of what the bigger ones have been?
Well, obviously the biggest one in recent times is the one at Stamford Bridge, which was obviously the twist and turn from Rodrigo Muniz and Trevor Chalobah's challenge. Was it a stamp? Wasn't it a stamp? But then it was referral to VAR, wasn't it? It was Michael Salisbury talking to Rob Jones, which I don't know. I actually found the conversation quite revealing. I quite enjoyed. Not in a macabre way, but I like to hear what they were talking about. And when I think when I was although inevitably they got it wrong, I actually enjoyed the conversation to see why they came to the decision and they were talking. I had a lot more sympathy for them after hearing that conversation, rather than just the Howard Webb straight away almost defending the PGMOL by dropping Michael Salisbury straight away and coming out and apologising. And you don't come out and apologise straight away, Howard Webb. Fix it. And I don't know whether Mark agrees with this. I suspect in the next few weeks we're going to see a raft of decisions where a referee goes to the screen and he overrules the VAR official. And that's just human nature. I think we're going to see within the next month at least 4 or 5 decisions, something because we haven't really seen that before, have we? We haven't seen a referee go over and go, do you know what, mate, I don't agree with that, I'm going to stick to my on-field decision. I think we're going to see a raft of these come in, and it'll probably balance too much the other way. It'll probably, because it's not right at the moment, where we should have seen a few of these. I suspect the next few weeks we're going to see quite a few of these where he'll go over and say to his mate, no, sorry, his colleague, and say, actually, I like my on-field decision, I'm going to stick to it, which I think there should be more of, and hopefully in the long run, we'll see a balancing up of that.
Kieran, did you watch the game? So I also watched it, and so you and I would be relatively neutral watching that game because neither of us support either club. And from that perspective, I actually found the decision over the penalty that João Pedro eventually scored more frustrating in that they looked for the first handball, then they were looking at the possibility of a second handball by a Chelsea player. And that I found more frustrating as just a football fan. Because they couldn't make a decision. And then they start looking, the VAR are looking for multiple issues because, of course, they don't want to get caught out and go, well, we gave it for this handball and, we missed that one. But from your perspective, just as a football fan, how do you take it? And in a game like that where there's big controversy, what's your view on it?
My view on VAR, and I'm coming in it purely from a financial angle, whilst I count myself as a fan, is that it has substantially reduced the number of errors. I think it was sold to fans as it's going to reduce the number of errors to 0, which was unrealistic. So therefore, I think it's been incredibly poorly marketed. The delays in making a decision is something else which was not sold. If you said, right, you can have matches which would take 102 minutes now, and you're going to have to get used to it. I think that's taken as a surprise. Individual decisions that we like arguing about them, as Mark's rightly said, the subjective element cannot be fully resolved because you can look at things in slow motion and real time. You can look at things head on or sideways, and you get a completely different picture, and it becomes just as subjective. And the fact that we're walking away saying that decision was right, that was decision wrong, and then you're still arguing in the pub afterwards, it's part of football. But in terms of those Chelsea decisions, Chelsea have done really well so far out of VAR, but it's a 38-match season, and we don't know what's going to happen. For me, I'm still coming to terms with Aston Villa not getting relegated about 5 seasons ago. That was the worst of the lot when the ball crossed the line and goal wasn't given.